And we are back with another episode, or another part of an episode of the podcast presented by Simple Math Matrix. It's your boy, Mr. aka Super 357, best known as Prince Godbody. And now we got
the guy King Hoopla.
Yes,
and
sir.
the second part is being worked on still. God damn, man. Take a breath. Take a breath a little bit.
What do we call it? Flavor text.
Flavor text.
The flavor text is still 2 weeks in a row. Still haven't got your flavor text right, so you better work on that one.
Yeah. It'll get there.
Yeah, it definitely will get there. That's for sure. You've been following the news about Verzuz, correct?
Yeah, Triller and Swizz versus Triller versus Swizz Beatz and Timbaland.
Yeah, so apparently Swizz Beatz and Timbaland are suing Triller over Verzuz for $28 million, claiming they didn't get the payment they were promised. Essentially, Triller rebutted, saying that they received a bigger payment.
Yeah, like $50 million.
A big payment up front, and the rest is to trickle down or what have you. But the big thing about all this is you would think that.
Oh, and Triller also said they didn't come back with enough money.
So they're acknowledging that they haven't paid up.
Yeah.
You would think that.
No, that Swizz Beatz and Timbaland had owed Triller money.
For putting on the.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're trying to say that they're offsetting the cost.
Mm-hmm.
My thing about all of this is with Verzuz being a dying platform as it is, and at the point they had sold it to Triller, it was a dying platform.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that with them having as much experience as they do in the game, that they would have this sort of thing figured out.
No.
Why not?
Because Triller was a phone app at first. Was a
social media app.
Yeah, was trying to be what TikTok was for a moment, and then had just gotten to this Verzuz game as the pandemic happened.
So you're saying it's more of a new lane of business where nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, for a fact. Because you gotta think, if they're paying all this money to these fighters, you know what I'm saying, to the boxers, having all these big payouts and stuff like that, and most of the view count is to offset that, you know what I'm saying, all the hype generated behind that, and for them to pick up Verzuz and try to tie those in with fights, and that not even work out.
So yeah, it's just Verzuz.
They took on too much than they could handle.
Triller and Verzuz.
Yeah, Triller
both hands.
Yeah, Triller and Verzuz, because Verzuz at its beginning was better than what it had become. When it was just niggas.
In its genesis, it was better than anybody would have thought Verzuz could have ever been.
Yeah.
But my thing is, we knew that. So when they got to the point they sold it, which to me seemingly was at the downcline, you know what I'm saying?
The decline.
The decline, the slope of that productivity or that financial, you know what I'm saying, marketability. Why wouldn't they have why wouldn't they have gotten the money for this shit up front? Because they're not involved for it. So, I mean, but that's how business goes.
Yeah.
That's me not having enough money to understand how business
plus
goes.
You got to think.
Or not factoring in how business goes.
And you got to think, that amount of money isn't something that can just be transferred over that quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? I believe all business transactions take time.
But in order for
Especially
them to be
business
suing them,
in
order for them to be suing them, that's what makes me shit.
Yeah,
Verzuz been floundering for a year.
I mean, it just
Jadakiss Verzuz happened a year.
It just been
happened a year ago, and that was when we thought Verzuz was dead.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that was supposed to be the last hoorah, essentially, for Verzuz.
But what has been the criteria for a Verzuz? We don't know what the criteria for a Verzuz was though.
Yeah, at that point we did.
I'm talking about for in the business wise, it's for it to clear off things. Was it a view count?
Because a lot of people said they were getting checks, and a lot of people said they weren't getting checks.
Exactly.
So yeah, you're right about that. With this being so social media driven, what metrics do you account for when distributing money?
Exactly.
Because other than what you get from the stream push, there's nothing you can really say to guarantee somebody money, like that's besides the ticket sales.
Exactly.
Because what if you sell all the tickets and nobody watches? Look at this. Cypress Hill did one.
Yeah,
Cypress Hill and EMPD.
And goddamn.
Or EPMD. My bad. I say
yeah, they did exactly.
Yeah, EPMD.
And exactly.
Nobody watched.
I didn't watch.
Two legendary hip hop groups.
Two legendary hip hop groups. Yeah. Think about the Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One one. That one would have been a very more
right when people were shut in. Yeah. That one would have been a prime one.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're very right.
You would have wanted to had. You would personally you would have had Kim and Kane.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
It's marketability and profitability. It's mutual.
Yeah, because they also didn't know how to market. They didn't know who to get, because that was a big question after everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because then everybody wanted bigger names. Yeah. The big names that
you can't really.
You can't.
And when you're paying people up front, like, you're taking a loss. So then you go to a platform, so you get the money to pay people up front. And I can see where this gets murky. Yeah. Now that we kind of talked this out, but I'm just hoping they get that shit figured out.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. It could have just been it could have been its own surviving, dying ship.
What's that? Verzuz?
Yeah.
I mean, it is still its own. Like, Verzuz is still cemented in history.
Oh, no.
The concept of what they did.
I mean, yeah.
And how they presented it is still, you know what I'm saying?
Do you think it would have worked? Do you think it would have worked as well without the pandemic?
No, not at all. It would not have worked at all without the pandemic.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That concept does not work without the pandemic, especially in this day and age when people would automatically beg to see it in concert.
Yeah, or the artists complain about money up front, like you said, the Genesis. Yeah, at the beginning, niggas was not getting paid.
So you gonna get me to sit on live? Like, what are those streams worth? What is a stream worth? Shout out to Joe Budden. Yeah. What the fuck is a stream worth?
What is a stream worth?
Exactly, and that's really what it comes down to. What's a stream? What's a view worth? And how do you monopolize that to make money? You know what I'm saying?
Shit, damn. I mean, shit.
But you got Diddy and JD, who said they're going to do a versus type thing,
non-versus,
but they just called it hit for hit. You know, with what we just talked about with Verzuz going through all that financial, legal troubles right now.
I'm about to say,
it's kind of crazy that the Verzuz that everybody asked for spawned out of this. They called it just hit for hit. Yeah. They said it's not a versus, it's not a competition. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Nothing on that level.
See?
But it is a hit for hit where they would do the same thing as a versus. My question is, between JD and Puff, Diddy, who do you have?
I got Puff.
How?
I told you. Because, Puff.
JD's production and writing catalog alone, to me, blows Puff out of the water. Puff was in those rooms, but JD was those rooms.
Puff discovered some of those artists too, just as well as
so did JD.
I can't say the thing about
it. Chris Cross.
He made Biggie.
Look at Ludacris, not without JD.
Mace.
So Def, Bow Wow.
Mary J.
I know I got another one.
Faith Evans.
Hold on, let me
Lil Kim. Julia Mafia.
All right, which y'all? Okay.
Craig Mack.
Lil Kim.
Jodeci.
Lil Kim, Biggie, and Jodeci. Who else you had said that he didn't rape for their money?
We're not talking about nobody's money. We're talking about hit for hit. We're talking about hit. We're not talking about business dealings. We're not talking about who has the business, man.
I think in Atlanta, Diddy setting himself up with this one, though.
He still got Usher too.
Diddy, Jermaine Dupri has Usher.
Usher album was Bad Boy.
Jermaine Dupri.
First album was Bad Boy.
But I thought it was wrote by Jermaine Dupri.
Then who did he give it to?
He still wrote it and produced it.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, JD.
I mean, I feel you on that, but then that's when it gets tricky right there.
That's what I'm saying.
That's when it gets tricky.
Jermaine Dupri, you're not going to take nothing away from that man.
You can't take nothing away from
Welcome to Atlanta where the players play. This month, bro, I'm not
The Locks.
Immature, TLC, Chris Cross.
I did that earlier. I did that at work. I have it already up
Bobby
at work.
Brown. Come on. His Mariah Carey, El DeBarge. His track record is way more star-studded than Puff's is.
Golly.
Puff might have made some stars, but he didn't have the gusto just off GP on his talent to be like JD. Nah, you're not gonna sit up here.
Ear.
No, fuck the ear ain't shit like the hands and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, JD got it. I don't know. I think that especially putting it in Atlanta, that Puff setting himself up for the okie doke.
Well, yeah, that's crazy. But I still got Puff.
How? I mean, I know how, but
I just told you how.
What do you mean? Like JD has such a deep catalog. He has such a way longer spanning catalog than Puff does as far as hits and involvement with hits that I don't think it's a real competition. Puff really only was going crazy in the 90s for real, late 90s. Mid to late 90s.
Nas too. Even though that album sucked. Still got a hit off that jank too.
You up here talking about hits.
That's what we just talking about, right?
But you're mentioning Nas when we're talking about hits.
I know, right?
Come on, man.
All About the Benjamins.
That's not Nas.
That's not a hit.
That's not Nas.
No, I just switched it up, but it's Bad Boy.
I know it's a hit, but JD still has those.
Yeah. I'm just saying Puff got them too.
I think you just might be a little bit more familiar with Puff. It's all it is for real.
Nah. I'm not going to say that because when I looked at Jermaine Dupri's jank earlier, like when I made the initial comment.
Yeah.
When you had said do the research, I looked it up. And I was like, God damn. Jermaine Dupri got that shit too.
He has a track record.
Too.
So what are you going to say?
I just said Puff. The way you said JD. The way you going to question me.
Yeah, you smoking dick, bro.
Not,
in my opinion, we're going to see. We
can agree, disagree.
You think they're actually going to do it?
I don't know.
Yes or no? You got a yes or no question?
They got enough money not to care about the money.
Yeah, but you think they're going to do it? You think they're going to take the time out of their day to do it?
Hell yeah. They obviously ain't got shit else to do if they on live talking about this and R. Kelly.
Fair enough.
Yeah. They talking about how R. Kelly was like the gap from music that you can't play at the club for some reason. I don't really get it. Was just some old heads talking about R. Kelly.
Understandable,
yeah.
Yes.
If you've been around old heads and they talking about R. Kelly, it's gonna sound similar to those conversations.
To what they were saying.
Yeah, if they're talking about his music.
Yeah. Speaking of R. Kelly and sex, I guess that bridges us into sexual inappropriation.
Yeah.
It was
That's not funny.
That was not a great segue though.
I guess so.
Deshaun Watson, it's official now. They finally ruled on his situation. He will be serving an 11-game suspension.
Yeah.
And have to pay a $5 million fine.
Which is like $5.
Yeah,
to him. That contract.
It's only 10% of one of his years. One of the years of his contract. So he's just tithing to the NFL.
10% of 25%. No, I don't know. I don't even know the percentage of his contract, but it's guaranteed.
He'll be making like $50 million a year,
exactly.
Like next year. So that's what, like I said, 10% of his contract. And like I said, like we've said before, the NFL is such when it comes to punishment, it's so arbitrary. You can't even there's no merit to it.
Because first of all, it doesn't even make sense for them. Because after a while, well, actually, I understand. It's good that they gave him 11 games. I agree on that. But it doesn't make sense. You don't think
he should have got more than 11 games?
Oh, yeah.
For 26 sexual, harassment allegations?
But this is when we come back. As soon as I make my statement about this is when it becomes arbitrary. Because then I'm going to start throwing out other NFL cases to where nothing happened when they actually did something against the law. Exactly. So it doesn't there's no statute of limitations.
No, there's no precedence.
Yeah, there's no
You mean there's no precedence? Yeah. Statute of limitations.
I know what it means.
There's no precedence in the NFL, so everything's arbitrary. Meaning, if you make enough money in the NFL, they're gonna make sure you're protected.
That's
Henry Ruggs didn't make enough money to be protected.
Yeah. Oh hell no.
Ray Lewis made enough money to be protected.
Yeah, his jersey sold. It depends on how well your jerseys are selling.
Something like that. Yeah.
Look at Ben Roethlisberger.
Yup. Hey, Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best examples. That man caught multiple rape charges rape allegations throughout his career with no type of repercussions. Got in a motorcycle accident outside of his contractual structure. No real it's all arbitrary. No matter if you're selling jerseys, selling tickets,
doing psychedelics.
Who was doing psychedelics?
You didn't hear about Aaron Rodgers doing psychedelics?
Oh, I'm not going to fault nobody for doing psychedelics.
I know that, but during a game though.
He said he was hot during the game.
Apparently, yeah.
I thought he said he just got hot and like.
Oh no, I don't think it was during the game, man.
Yeah, how about now he just putting false shit on the man's jacket.
If he did though, that'd be tough.
Nah, you know.
If he did though, that'd be tough.
If you played a game on shrooms and you didn't throw up, you were the god. You were God.
I mean, Doc Ellis did it.
He did it on acid.
Psychedelics.
Acid and shrooms are different.
But they're still categorized psychedelics.
Xanax and alcohol are both depressants.
So under the right circumstances, you will be depressed.
No, I'm saying like, just because they're the same thing doesn't mean they give the same effects.
Oh yeah, that's true indeed. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Even though, I've taken shrooms, I've never taken LSD, so I definitely can't.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't got
you
know what I'm saying? I don't know about all that.
Yeah, two-way.
I don't really plan on taking LSD no time soon.
Why not, man?
Because I don't got the time for it.
You could just need a day.
I don't got the time for it. I'm only going to have 3 days to myself from now on, so.
Just take a day or two of those and you'll be straight.
No.
You'll be good, man.
This shit I got to do.
Man, you know what's sad?
What is
Young Thug's going to have to take it. I got to find a different way to intro. This is funny every time. Young Thug is going to enjoy every day by himself from now on. Thug and Gunna went to a bond hearing again for the third bond hearing in their trial. And from what it looks like, neither one of them will be getting out. They won't be getting out at least until January when the trial begins. Mm-hmm. And that's only the trial beginning, so that doesn't mean they're going to get out at all. They have moved Woody to supposedly to protective custody as well as his family, in accordance to all that shit leaking on social media.
Yeah.
And people like, kind of like us, kind of spreading that information. But, man, if we say this every week, we've said this every time some news has popped up about this. They have such transparent evidence on everything that's going on with this that this should just tell you to stay the fuck out the streets.
Yeah, facts. Because ain't shit going on for you, especially in Atlanta. If you claim to a gang, a set, or something tied to somebody with some bodies,
you're done.
It's best not to be tied to them no more. Skip town, do whatever you got to do. Rip up your social security card, some shit like that. Even though I don't think that works.
Because even we were on the train that if anybody did get out of this situation, it would be Gunna.
Yeah.
And they're holding him too.
Yeah, they are. They're gonna make an example. They're about to make an example. I think we said.
Oh yeah, see in a RICO, if you're the head member, which is they've identified Thug as over and over, you're not gonna get out no matter what.
And in this, because it's a high profile case too.
Oh,
it's a major, like, and that's the thing though. It's
only this high profile because murders are involved, not drugs.
No, and I'm talking about the person involved too, the celebrity involved too.
What do you mean?
Because you gotta think, like, the cases, a RICO case is big. It's gonna be big anytime because it's crime.
A RICO case.
Crime. Yeah, it's a RICO case.
It's a large scale organization come down.
But in this case, it's a rapper.
Yeah.
A high pro.
One of the biggest rappers.
Grammy Award winning rapper.
Yeah, so.
You know what I'm saying? From one of the biggest music meccas in the past 20 years.
At the very nationally recognizable.
Atlanta. So, this is a high profile case.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. Because you got to think, the only time a rapper's ever been RICO'd, and it's not even a rapper, was BMF.
No, Casanova got RICO'd.
Casanova, I'm about to say.
Tekashi got RICO'd. YFN got RICO'd. Most rappers now get RICO'd. We literally had an episode about this.
We did have an episode about this. Damn, I don't know how my mind went blank like that.
Yeah.
But as big as this, though. Well, I don't know. Well, yeah.
No, it's not been one as big as this. You're right about that. It's not been one as big as this. Yeah, it's not. It has not.
Because Tekashi Jane wasn't. Tekashi Jane wasn't. It wasn't zoomed in on the RICO case. It was zoomed in on the fact that he was snitching.
Yup, exactly.
Wyatt and Lucci's not big enough. Who else do we say? Casanova.
Wasn't big enough. But big enough. Oh, Bobby Shmurda. He got RICO.
He did get RICO, but it wasn't big enough only because he had a song that told everything.
But it was big because he did the 7.
I don't.
This man split the 7.
Yeah, it did split 7. That's tough.
That was what it was. You know what I'm saying?
That was real though.
They caught the RICO and split the 7.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, you said someone else too.
Casanova, Tekashi.
That's not right.
Blue Da Vinci, the rapper, and BMF did not actually get caught in that RICO too, by the way.
They did it?
No, Blue Da Vinci did not.
I know the Blue Da Vinci did.
That was the rapper.
Yeah.
And Jeezy.
Yeah. Well, Jeezy definitely ain't caught, though.
Yeah.
But the RICO worked, though.
RICO's always work.
Yeah.
You watch The Wire?
I watched The Wire.
You watch The Wire?
I watched multiple mob documentaries, too.
You watch Sopranos?
Well, yeah. That RICO didn't work, though.
Yeah, it did.
It did? On who?
Everybody. That's why they start cracking and killing each other. The
RICO,
remember, once they get him once Tony runs away at Johnny Sack's house, it becomes the pressure of the RICO. Remember they had his house bugged.
Yeah, that was like the second season.
Nah, it's like when it's serious bugged. That's when he takes Bobby. Because I don't know Paulie down there. When he thinks Paulie is a snitch.
Well, he is.
Oh, that is like second season.
Season.
I've watched that show so much that I mix that up. Yeah. Because,
one thing I realized about that show, they only focus on the cops interfering with the process.
No, Detective Harris is there the entire time.
Outside of him talking to the cop all the time at the salami shop.
That's where that's why he's in therapy. He's paranoid.
Well, and he's just a stressed out.
Because he's a snitch. At the end of it, he is a legitimate snitch.
Who?
Tony is legitimately snitching.
He does start snitching.
Tony legitimately starts snitching at the end of the show.
He does, though. That is true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, RICO's work. And with that, we'll be back with more of this episode of the podcast presented by Simple Math Matrix. Nate, you want to give your outro?
We'll be back. Because it's only one part. So what's the point of the outro?
Well, it's not one part. This is the first part of the multi.
Yeah, so this is not one part. Yeah, this is only the first part. So we'll see you on the second part. Catch us.
And we are back with another episode of the podcast presented by Simple Math Matrix. It's your boy, Mr. aka Superall 357, best known as Prince Godbody. And right now I'm joined by
Noah, aka Marks, on all platforms.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you don't know, this is my brother of sorts, of blood sorts. So this is my brother. He joined me today so graciously to help me out with some topics I may not be the best, may not be the most expert on. And today we're going to be starting off talking with Noah about this Quando Rondo shooting. And if you're unfamiliar, rapper Quando Rondo, who is probably most famously associated with the murder of King Von, recently he seemingly was the target of an assassination attempt himself. Quando Rondo, while riding in an SUV with a friend, was the target of a hop-out assassination attempt where 3 gunmen hopped out at a gas station, fired up on the vehicle. Presumably he was the target, but the ending was that his friend Lil Pablo was the one that got killed. And there seems to be no motive behind this, seemingly. What do you think this is all about?
What do you think it's all about? Everybody will know what it's all about.
I mean, you could say the slime for Von thing, but a lot of it, the internet is saying too that this is not associated with this. This is a problem he has with LA Crips. This is a problem. They're widely citing this as him having, because it was presumably the people that have been taking credit for it on the internet have been LA Hoovers.
Yeah, but that's always going to be the case. It's literally escape. I mean, I'm not about to say you're telling them there, but let's just brain dead common sense. Like of course they're gonna say that. Like literally, you have to think. But Dirk is literally smoking hot right now. Smoking hot, just like attention and in totality.
I kind of battled that point. I think he was smoking hot last year, but I think if anything, the smoke we're seeing from Dirk is the smoke you see after the gun's already let off. You know what I'm saying? It's after the fact. Because Dirk released that same album 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but then he just dropped Fuck Your Cousin, which is hot.
But is it on the album?
It doesn't matter. It's hot.
Army, no. He's hot. When you're hot, you have to like hot mainstream. Like the way that little baby is hot mainstream now is that's legitimate hot. And Dirk right now, with him saying that this is all cap, this is not real, he's trying to get to that little baby type of hot. So I don't think he necessarily would even at this point try to touch Quando. And you know what I'm saying? I understand with like the underlying beef and all that deals with. But with the position he's in right now, the smartest thing is to lay low till you get to that little baby position where it's almost undeniable that you could have had anything to do about that.
All right. The thing about that is you got to realize that Dirk is commercial. He can be commercial, but at the end of the day, he still represents himself as the voice of the streets, quote unquote. So he's always gonna like his base, his core of what he's gonna build his hype off of is always gonna be a street base, something street based, and that's what I'm saying. He's not gonna come up to you with a hit with Adam Levine off the gate. No, he's gonna build off of some Chicago shit, and then on top of Chicago
he did that,
shit,
but he did
he's gonna dish out to the public.
But he did the Morgan Wallen track. The Morgan Wallen track, after Morgan Wallen said the N-word on camera, white people love that song. Like I see that in a lot of white people that think they love country and hip hop love that song. So he's done that. He's outreached. And like 50 Cent did, his entire thing was built on street, but he still did Candy Shop and he still did Ski Mask Way on the same album. So you can do the hip hop and not the hip hop, but the street gangster shit without necessarily being street gangster or having to do street gangster shit anymore. You can make it all a reflection on your past life. That's what all this shit is cap, it is not real. That's literally what that's about.
So you're telling me that that's about what though? What?
All this shit is cap, is not real, is to an extent, he's being legitimate. We take it at like, he's playing it up to us, to the audience, in the way that...
And more than what it is.
Yeah, that this shit is real. I'm just covering but that like he's... And legitimacy, that shit is cap. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, even with the losses he suffered and the way that he suffered them, I don't think that the position he's in, nor the connection he has to the people he has and the positions he can put himself in, that he would even necessarily risk putting himself in that, especially when the internet drives all the narratives anyways, and you're seeing all these rappers getting locked up on RICOs.
Okay, and I definitely feel you on that. But one thing about it is, and maybe I watch too much YouTube, it's too convicting for you to say like it's cap. Like for instance, the FBG Duck murder, he's blatantly bragging about it, and for you to say that, well, he's bragging about it because he has no true connections to it.
I know, I agree with you on that, but when the FBG Duck situation happened, Dirk was not selling out arenas. Dirk wasn't on Kanye albums. Dirk wasn't the voice of the streets then. Dirk was still somebody. Yes, Dirk has been somebody for 10 years. That's a common misconception people forget. Like, Dirk is somebody we grew up with. Dirk is not a new rapper for the kids necessarily.
Okay.
Dirk is a rapper we grew up with.
So you said to say what?
His street shit is still to an extent behind him and freshly behind him. When he recorded that shit, he might have, like with the FBG Duck, when he was making fun of all that situations, before he was putting the disclaimer of this shit is cap, it's just not real.
Yeah.
He that shit won't cap, it was all real. You know what I'm saying? But he got, like, I know what you're saying, he built his fan base on that, but just because you build your fan base on that doesn't mean you carried into that. 50 Cent got shot 9 times, he didn't have to get shot every year to maintain the fact that he was hard as bricks. Pause.
Okay, yeah, but 50 Cent and Dirk are two different things. It's not as...
50 had real beef out there, too.
50 did, but 50, I don't think that it's in the... And this is just off of, you know what I'm saying? What speculation, what you see on the internet.
Yeah, we're just making this shit up.
Yeah, what you see on the internet and shit like that. But just strictly what you see off the internet, I think that it's too... like in reality, like there are things that Kevon is dead in reality.
Yeah.
And like so it's not cap. It's literally like what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is I don't think that he's boosting something that's not there.
In these situations, he is, because for him to get get back or directly slide back for Von, that's too obvious. Like, he is still in the national eye. He still has not completely cleared that fucking shooting case into that store that him and Von caught. Von is still in a legal situation where he could probably still go to jail if his lawyers don't keep biding that time.
Yeah, that's anybody. But what I'm just saying, that's the era of hip hop that we're in, is where these people are really living that life.
They were until I'm saying, like the FB, you're right until the Duck situation happens, because everybody that was involved with that Duck situation happening are the last people that were from when we were kids can be traced back to Dirk for real. And then his brother died, and then that's the last of really the people that we know as OTF and all that shit. Like, it's a different thing now. He might love the block the same, but he might not love these kids the same way as he loved the people he grew up with. Because all the people he grew up with, they either dead or gone.
He's famous now. He's not in that.
Yeah, he's famous now. Like, yeah, to a certain point, I feel like once his brother died, he's famous now.
Shit, I would hope so. But and literally just. And it would be different if he wasn't coming with back-to-back tracks about it. And like you said, it's so like literally like right now people are literally waiting for, because after the Quando Rondo shooting, they're waiting for Dirk to
say something.
To say something.
Because it's just but that's when you play into things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he won't. I don't think he will. He's smarter than that. With all the things going on with Thug and all of them, he'd be stupid to say something.
Yeah.
You know, and that's another thing. Like, no matter like. I just don't see him being that dumb. But you know what I'm saying? That's the same thing we say about every rapper till they get caught up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's what we say about every rapper. Because look at Fetty Wap right now. Fetty Wap right now is about to have to sit down for a mandatory 5. Are you familiar with the situation?
Yeah, with his drug trafficking?
Yeah, so he, last October, it was found out that Fetty Wap was either being directly the distributor, the redistributor, or the financer for the redistribution of large amounts of essentially heroin, fentanyl, just not weed drugs in New Jersey. It was a RICO case, actually. I remember talking about this and saying that they're not getting rappers on just, oh, there's a bag of weed in your car, oh, you got a gun in your car. No, they're going to let you get away with that and then build the case and break you down. And that's what they did to Fetty Wap, because right now, he had to plead guilty. And with him pleading guilty, he's going to do he's facing, looking at a mandatory 5 years. 5 years.
I mean, I wouldn't blame, if Fetty Wap was steaming hot, then I would blame him. But the fact that he's not steaming hot, you can't even blame his position for real.
You can't fight a RICO with no matter money. Like, no matter how hot you are, you can't fight the RICO. Like, a big point of Thug's RICO is they're freezing all his outwards accounts. So nobody he knows has money anymore. You know what I'm saying? So now venues are suing him because he's not showing up for breach of contract. So then he can't pay that out. So who do I pay? Do I pay this promoter that I owe $150,000 to?
Yeah.
Or do I pay my lawyer who might be able to get me out in a minimum of 10 years? You know what I'm saying? And no matter what happens, you're going to go broke. So Fetty Wap here, 5 years for a guy who's, I'm not going to say Fetty Wap's cash broke or material broke, but for a guy who's not doing world tours, putting out music that's necessarily
hot at the time.
Yeah, hot at the time. What's 5 years? You don't have to pay taxes. You even think about having to pay taxes on the house. That, you know what I'm saying? You live in this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But and that's the point. That's what I really don't blame Fetty, because he went so high up and so far down that he probably just trying to get back up.
I don't blame anybody for taking 5 on something like that. On be calling a kingpin, on essentially being called a kingpin and only having to take 5.
Yeah, on heroin and shit like that, yeah.
That's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? On FinPack, especially as hard as they're going on the FinPack. And this is just another thing that goes to show that once you get a little bit of money, they're going to be looking at you.
Yeah,
because it's only him and 2 other people that are in this section of the RICO or whatever that took charges.
How many?
3 of them. It was him and 2 other people, from what I read.
Well, that's crazy. Yeah, they were just fiending again then. Yeah. 3 people?
Well, they probably just had... All right, so imagine coming to Prince George with $30 million in your pocket or a bank account at one point, right? Yeah. Imagine, say, you want to do drugs or want to sell drugs. And so I picked 2 people. You would flood the market. How easy?
Yeah, but that's just...
You get the best gas, sell it for for the lowest prices. Like, literally...
What was it worth, though? What was it worth?
The money.
5 years?
A lot of people think... 5 years is not a lot for what he... It was worth it. For the money he probably made off that, as opposed to the money he lost from the missed royalties and shit from his career. Because you got to think, Atlantic took his whole fucking, all his demo tapes, mixed them together, polished them up, and put out songs he had already wrote, produced, promoted, and just put them out as a project that went fucking multi-platinum and won Grammys, if I'm not mistaken.
But this is where rappers with these charges need to realize they need to find a better side activity. Not T Grizzly streaming, looking great.
Yeah, amazing.
Could you see T Grizzly catching a Rico anytime soon?
Yeah.
How?
Cause money, having a lot of money. I can see anybody with a lot of money accidentally funding something illegal. Like look at Jeffrey Epstein. It don't matter who you are, no matter how much good you can probably funding something illegal if you got enough money. Because that's more money. Yeah, more money under the table you got to pay taxes on.
Yeah, that is a deal. That is a deal. Because like you said, you're at that point, you're just flipping money, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Millions, not hundreds of thousands, millions.
Yeah, I see that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that's why they're getting them. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because they're literally flipping untaxed $1 million in the street.
Yep. Just cash money.
Damn, you're probably going to stoop.
Yeah, cash money.
Yeah.
Because you don't launder that. That's cash money. But to wrap up, I know you've heard about this Brittney Griner situation, correct?
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about this situation just in general? Because we on Simple Math, we've said multiple times that she was dead wrong for going over there. Like, when you're in Rome, play as the Romans, do as the Romans. You can't go to somebody else's land, break the laws, and not just, expect to be punished like they would be punished. 1. 2, the American government is dead fucking wrong for saying she's unjustly punished and free her when they have millions of black people or just people of color or just anybody locked up over simple drug or weed charges. You know what I'm saying? That they didn't let go once weed started to become legal in multitudes of states. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but the Americans, of course, I can say this is politics.
Yeah.
But for her to get caught, that just sucks, though. Like, yeah, she's in the wrong, and all that, but just putting myself in her shoes, that's sickening.
What do you mean?
That's sickening. Just, it's just so, yes, it's the rules.
That would happen in America.
Even if I knew, bro, I would, like you said, why would you even test that?
Exactly.
Why would you even test that? But that's still terrible, though.
It's terrible for her, but it's not what she deserves, because nobody deserves to go to jail for weed. But you know what I'm saying? You can't go somewhere else and break someone. There's a country that just decriminalized gay sex. You know what I'm saying?
What country?
I want to say it was not Thailand. It's one of those Southeastern Asian countries. Maybe Taiwan.
Yeah, but what for what? Why do you say that?
I'm saying that to say that in America, gay sex itself has never been illegal. You know what I'm saying?
Say what? What are you talking about?
Meaning that when countries have different laws. Like, if you go to a country where, like Taiwan, where they have really restrictive laws, where to the point that gay sex isn't even legal, you think weed's going to be legal? Why would you test that shit?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Is that not mind blowing? They don't even let people fuck each other for their own will, and you think you about to just smoke weed over here?
That's what, but people it's not even that, it's literally just different rules in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Just different rules in general. It's not even, because like I said, we probably do crazy shit that they probably think is crazy too. Wild as a bitch. So it's not a matter of who's right and who's wrong and who's doing all the right shit. Like I said, it's all it's everybody's picking and choosing. Literally, everybody's picking and choosing rules. The laws are just picking and choosing, picking and choosing.
Yeah, of course.
So there's no master to tell you, hey, this is actually what's wrong. This is what's gonna have the best success. This was gonna have the least success. But that goes into a deeper conversation. Just
laws of the land.
No, more than laws of the lands of how nations are not led by philosophers, or just led by regular people. So like I said, there's still.
That's not always true.
What land would you say is literally led
by philosophers? Not in modern society. You're right.
Yeah.
In modern society, you're right. But in ancient society, philosophers were viewed more as
politicians,
enlightened, more or less nutcracks. Because now, and see, a lot of the problem with philosophers from back then were that they were able to have the podium of the academy. So knowledge, and this is another conversation, but knowledge has become so far out and so spread that technically everybody's a philosopher now, because everybody has enough information or enough access to information that they can develop abstract ways of thinking. Whereas before, in ancient times, where you look at Socrates, Plato's, Nostradamus, all these guys, they were the only guys that had access to books. Like they're where they lived and where they visited were the only place in 300 miles that had any sort of book.
And reading was a big thing. Yeah, but where I see that difference,
it still is. Reading still is.
The difference in that is just like, for me, I think there's a difference between reading something and being able to regurgitate it and actually having a genuine original thought. But that's what separates the line. Like I said, anybody can go read a book and just recite the book to you. But when I think philosophy, it's just like, of course, way of thinking, but like new ways of thinking. Like it's about fresh thoughts. Like I said, it's easy to repeat, but it's hard to create. And then
I feel like everybody has personal philosophy. If you have an inner monologue, you have personal philosophy. It's just the bridge of being willing to share it. Like everybody has a new idea or a fresh or out there idea. It's just whether you're willing to share it. Like, let's say we're all going around and making jokes, right? And we're all making pretty safe jokes. And somebody makes a joke about kicking a baby. You know what I'm saying? That's the fresh idea, but it might be the best idea, or it might be the best idea in that that might be the best joke in that scenario, but they're afraid to share that. And that's different now because, like I said, we have these things in our hands that these are libraries in our hands. Nobody has ever had this much information ever in human society. So right now, everybody's a philosopher. It's just who's willing to share it, and once it's shared, who's willing to adapt it. And that's always been true, because there's been failed philosophers for all of time. It's just who adapts your thinking.
And that's what I'm telling you, yeah. But there's a difference between the library that we have in our hand and people are reading, and the people that are putting the library in your hand.
No, because what do you mean the people that are putting the library in your hand?
And that's what I mean.
We create the library now.
What do I mean by that?
The public creates the library now.
What do I mean by that? Yeah, but the library is so general, and then, like I said, it's opinionated. I'm talking about as in who's creating new thoughts. So, for instance, if you
everybody on social media.
Yeah. I'm talking about as in like
New thoughts are thought tanks now. New thoughts are thought tanks now, and that's beneficial. I will say that's beneficial to society because everybody gets a say. So if you put a dumb idea in, everybody gets to say, shut the fuck up. If you put a great idea in, everybody gets to say yay. So it's not just one person say, here's a good idea, here's a bad idea. It's the general public who have access to the knowledge, because third world, like only 2.8 billion people, I think, are on the internet, whereas there's 8 billion people going to become November in the world. You know what I'm saying? So a quarter of the world. If you get on there and you are saying something, no matter what it is, and people are saying boo boo, you suck, then your philosophy might not be right. You know what I'm saying? It probably, I'm not saying it's not right, but it probably isn't right, because now you have a lot of people with a lot of information with a varying degree of comprehension of that information. So then you can get a legitimate feel as to what people are actually thinking, what people are actually feeling, and how people will actually act.
And this is the danger about social media, and this is why people think like that. People don't realize how many bots are on social media, how many it's extreme. Social media is extremely, matter of fact, I'm about to get you right now, is extremely persuasive. And let's actually move on to that. And by extremely persuasive, I mean like you can go on social media and, like you said, people can not agree with you and downvote or whatever, or upvote or whatever, but it's persuasive. It's bots. It's kind of, they're picking the opinions for you. And look at Andrew Tate, for example. Now, that's a prime example. Andrew Tate, regardless of what he's saying is right or wrong, now on social media, they are blocking voices. They are blocking voices. So now it's so persuasive that having a stake in social media is damn near currency now.
Well, no, having a public voice, and see with the Andrew Tate thing, you're saying like blocking them off, having a public voice and having a public voice that's seemingly malicious, being censored is not a new idea. And the thing with him is not, it is what he's saying, but it's more or less the audience. It's not what he's saying. Because if you're unfamiliar, Andrew Tate has been going around saying he's like the biggest misogynist, racist. So he's been making pretty much 11, 12-year-old fucking suburban white kid jokes on the internet, making it popular again, if you're familiar with my generation. And the thing about this is he's been kicked off of all social media essentially, or it's happening because his audience is children. It's not because it's adults. It's because it's children. When you just spread things that are generally found as malicious, no matter what side of the fence you're on, when you're spreading that to only children, that's poison. If he would say the same thing and put it in an adult audience, adults are mature enough, and even if they're not, if you're not mature enough to think it's satire or think it's a joke or whatever, however he wants to play it, that's your fault for being a stupid adult. But you can't let somebody go on a children's platform, which is essentially TikTok, and spread these ideas against or amongst kids that are 12, 13 years old, who are the most impressionable kids on the earth. These kids are sponges. At 12, 13, you think you're a sponge at 5, 6, yeah, you're a sponge because you can learn your ABCs. But at 12 or 13, you can learn to hate black people. You can learn to hate white women. You know what I'm saying? And really know what it means behind that. You really know what it means to hate a sub-genre of people. But when you're an adult, like Andrew Tate, if he was spilling this on late night Showtime or late night HBO, or, you know what I'm saying, who would give a fuck? You know why? Okay. It's not going to kids.
And definitely, this is what I'm saying, that's kind of where I love how this conversation is evolving, because even back to where it goes from Twitter being so persuasive, you're saying that, he can't be on children's platforms like TikTok spewing this narrative to kids. He doesn't even have a TikTok.
He doesn't have it anymore because it just got banned today, Noah.
No, I don't think he's ever had
No, he did. He just got banned from TikTok, today. And he had a thing called Harvard University where he was telling people essentially how to be cool, selling packages to kids on how to be cool. That was just a pyramid scam. And then the Romanian police raided his mansion on allegations of sex trafficking.
Oh, he's actually, he's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm not debating that. I'm just talking about as far as narrative driven by social media.
I know what you're saying. People create the narrative because he is this wild guy that everything he says needs to be omitted. But everything he says needs to be omitted from these platforms because children have such easy access to him, and he's marketing it to children. It'd be different if he was not marketing it to children. If he put an adult 18 plus, this is a real man. I'm a real man, and this is a real man stuff. This is for not little boys.
He's actually I'm agreeing that he's spewing bullshit. That's not what I'm
saying. No, that's not what we're arguing. We're arguing the fact that he's targeting the bullshit to kids. You can. Yes, he is.
I think that this is what
that's his main audience.
Any grown person is not going to take Andrew Tate seriously.
No,
it's comedy.
Exactly. We understand that. No grown person will. No grown person will take Andrew Tate seriously.
Okay.
But when you have platforms and when you're a content creator, you can look at your analytics and you can look and see how old people are that look at your content. And it has come back and it's verified that his content is of that like 12 to 18 range. You know what I'm saying? And those 18-year-olds, those are adults. You know what I'm saying? Okay, whatever. But when in that lower tier, you're pushing that bullshit to children. We know the adults have curbed him completely. You know what I'm saying? The adults, like we said, we're smart enough to know that it's bullshit. But Who are we to tell our little cousin that's not bullshit if that's his favorite YouTuber? You know what I'm saying? And even though that's not how people should raise their children, that's how it comes out. And so you gotta stop people like that.
It's a very familiar argument, huh? But that's what I said. That's kind of that is literally what I would say. I guess a liberal agenda has been on social media in general. Like that's what they do. They spew you the same narrative over and over, just like Andrew Tate was. The only thing they're doing is blocking any opposite narrative.
No, it's not.
So it's a whole bunch of bullshit on the internet.
It's not
the internet is
narrative.
full of, yes, I'm gonna tell you what.
Because look at Dan Bilzerian.
Let me finish.
He does the same thing, but way smoother. He's a misogynistic, racist, homophobic, way smoother, and people still champion him. He still has.
They're gonna get him soon.
But he's not. He still has his platform. He was the most popular social media person like 2 years ago. He made the most money off social media 2 years ago. Dan Bilzerian is one of the top media personalities pretty much of the social media age. And he does the same thing, but he doesn't do it as crass. And he doesn't target it to children. All his shit is for adults. Like, you can, it's a difference to tell, like, what did you say? Like, you're so G? Like, you saying that to kids is way different than going to the casino and saying, I just bought fucking $500,000 worth of alcohol. I got $250,000 worth of escorts coming back for me. That's only something a man can do. But saying you're so cool for having 3 girls, that's something that
it's all spewing bullshit. That was the point.
But you're allowed to spew bullshit. It's okay to spew bullshit as long as it's not directed to children. That's the only thing.
And that's what I'm saying. He's not on fucking Nickelodeon trying to give them top G speeches. Like you would have a point.
But kids don't watch Nickelodeon. Kids watch YouTube. Kids watch shit that is mostly unrestricted to children.
Absolutely, that's what I'm telling you. So the same platform, and this is my point to you, is that every platform that what's his name? Andrew Tate is on, you could find plenty more bullshit.
Oh, of course.
Of constant creators. So what I'm saying is, it has nothing to do with.
It's about having a platform.
It's about him having.
You can but you can have a platform, but you can't go from Big Brother MMA fighter, which is both adult entertainment arenas, and then transfer that to essentially becoming a chat for kids. But he's PC principle. Imagine if your 23-year-old frat brother long-term substituted for your class and all your friends started looking up to him. That's exactly what Andrew Tate is. Like, this guy doesn't need to be a substitute.
He's absolutely ridiculous. To me, he's a fucking comedian. Like, he's literally a joke.
But it's only, of course. But it's only
literally. But what I'm telling you, I don't think that, like I said, and the reason why I say you can't say that he's direct, let's say it gets to a point where people start driving narratives about things that are going on. Like, he's not, I think kids are part of his demographic.
I think they're a major part. They are a major part. That just goes to reflect from numbers and everything. Kids are a major part of his demographic.
Yeah, kids are going to be a major part of any demographic.
Not disproportionately.
On the internet.
Look at Joe Rogan. Period. Joe Rogan is the biggest guy, and he's 25 to 40 is his biggest age range.
Joe Rogan's an anomaly.
Joe Budden's
an anomaly.
18 to 30 is
Joe
his
Budden's
age
an
range.
anomaly, and that's podcasting. Andrew Tate's podcasting is definitely probably the same thing as a Joe Budden.
But look at UFC
like
look at UFC. That's 18 to 30. That's 18 to 50. Like 18. That's Andrew Tate's basis.
What, 18 to 50?
UFC fighting. 18 to 40-year-old men. Still not children. That's what I'm saying. Like, you bring it back to, you win for, it's not like if Aiden Ross.
Oh, yeah, Joe Rogan. That's what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Joe Rogan is not, I didn't know what you were saying. Okay. Yeah, Joe Rogan's not, Joe Rogan's, like I said, anomaly. So I would have to compare him to one of his peers. Joe Rogan is not Andrew Tate's peer. One of his peers, I would say, would be, man, to find an Andrew Tate peer.
Brendan Shaw.
I want to know who that is. Let me think of someone else.
Brendan Schaub's one of the biggest. He was an MMA guy turned personality, and they're both on the same level.
But here you go. I got you right here. Put it in the comment section. Do you know Brendan Shaw? What's his name?
Brendan Shaw.
Whatever his name is. Do you know him or do you know Andrew Tate more? Just put it in the comment section.
No, I mean, if people are watching the podcast, they probably know Brittney Schaub more.
That's what
Brittney Schaub was on Flagrant.
Put it in the comment section.
Brittney Schaub was on Flagrant. Brittney Schaub has been on Joe Rogan multiple times. Brittney Schaub is a UFC fighter. Brittney Schaub records out of WTF Studios. Brittney Schaub is actually really big. Like him, he's on Tiger Belly. They said that they had the biggest podcast beef that wasn't a black podcast beef this year so far.
And that's where I think. Not as far as long term. I think that's where you're getting confused of Andrew Tate's buzz. It's way bigger than that. Way bigger than that.
I don't know
way bigger than that. Andrew Tate's name is everywhere.
It's getting cut, but it's getting cut because it's getting cut off.
It's so matter before that. That's what I'm saying. It's so bad they're cutting him off.
It's not, but it's not bad. It's not like he's doing something. It's not like he's doing something monumental. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing. He's just getting cut off because he's going... It's not because he's getting cut off because it's bullshit. He's getting cut off because he's directing bullshit to kids. It's okay to direct bullshit to adults because adults have a certain level of discernment that children do not. And that's people's problem with that.
Have you seen Speed's fucking...
he's content? A child.
Have you seen... Oh, no, that's even worse. Have you seen Aiden Ross content?
They're kids marketing the kids.
Even worse.
But they're kids marketing. But they're not saying fuck women. I'm gonna... If a woman doesn't want to have sex with me, I'm gonna do the R word. You know what I'm saying? They're not saying that Andrew Tate has said shit like that. You know what I'm saying? In the name of jokes. It's the fact that the people that are watching these jokes are kids. That's the only problem. If he was making these to adults have discernment.
That's narrative driven. I think, in my opinion, I think that's completely narrative driven. Because like I said, you go on TikTok, Twitch, and find some really crazy dumb shit. Matter of fact, cam fucking girls on Twitch, that's literally the same concept. Like, there are kids on Twitch and they're allowing that. Like,
no, it's not. It's not allowed. It's supposed to not be allowed. That's how.
Category for
it. Yeah, that RL shit.
Category for it.
But let's circle back real quick because we did miss something, and that's Dennis Rodman. We were
week.
Bruh. All right, so this is the most bizarre shit ever. Dennis Rodman, who we know has some... Honestly, Dennis Rodman has more hookups to foreign powers than most presidents do. He's one of the only people that Kim Jong-un was willing to talk to because they love basketball. They love the 90s Bulls and shit like that, so he got to go over there. And somehow he got permission to go over to Russia and talk to their government about freeing Brittney Griner. We talked about Brittney Griner earlier and how she was in Rome and didn't play as the Romans. But America, or the world is turning such a like fill in the blank Mad Lib story that Dennis Rodman might actually be the only person that has a legitimate chance of going over there and freeing her.
Which is even more wild. It's so crazy. Like, I'm not sure finding like
that's fucking ridiculous.
No, when Donald Trump entered presidency, yeah. Like at that point, I knew shit was just weird. Like, it's not even a hate Donald Trump. Like, just simple fact that he went from a celebrity to being the president is just like, wow.
Yeah, it's wow. At this point with the news headlines, somebody just has a dice of words and they're just like shaking them out. And whatever comes out, that's what happens. Because never in a million years would you have told me that the one person that America was going to allow to go to Russia, when Russia's in war, when one of Putin's top like advisor guy's daughter just got bombed to death, that they're going to send over...
The guy from 2K. The guy from 2K.
With the rainbow hair.
No fucking cap. No cap. That's sick work. That is crazy.
This is the America this is the world we live in. Because I would like to like, you know, box this off to America, but this is no cap. The entire, this is the world we live in.
Yeah. There's literally laws for, it's like it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Unpredictable.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, do you think he's going to be able to get her out? And you know what the wildest part about it is? I think he will.
Putin is a hardcore
motherfucker.
Dude. He's a hardcore dude. I don't know.
I think Dennis Rodman can do it.
I'm surprised they even let her out in 9 years. No cap.
I mean, but that's what they would give one of their citizens. You know what I'm saying? Like
that. Exactly. That's what's even crazier. To the point where they're not even ODing, they're not even stepping boundaries.
Yeah, nah. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just acting by the lands, our laws of their land.
Yeah, straight up fair trial, too.
And now they got Sheriff Rodman coming over. The guy from 2K.
The guy from fucking 2K. Fuck, that's crazy.
The American government is sending over a basketball star. I mean, shit, I guess they said they're not willing to risk LeBron James.
Yeah, fuck no.
They said if Dennis Rodman died, at least we get to do a tribute or something.
Yeah.
They can't kill LeBron.
No cap.
Black community would go crazy if they killed LeBron like that.
What would happen if they took LeBron instead? What would genuinely happen? What would they say?
Oh no, they would definitely. The Russian government would definitely not let them come back. They would capture LeBron and hold him hostage.
Yeah, forever probably.
Yeah.
Forever and a day.
That shit would be no joke.
Remember LeBron got captured? But yeah, that would be crazy. Yeah. That would be crazy.
Yeah. That would be beyond crazy. Like LeBron, he's not making it out not because people don't love him, but he's not making it out because why would the Russian government let LeBron James out?
No, why would they? Exactly. They're not.
Well, man, I appreciate you for joining me this week on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna be back on another week, man.
We had a really fucking good conversation this week, and I really appreciate you for coming through, filling in. Anything you want to plug real quick before we sign out?
No, I'm good.
All right, y'all. Well, y'all stay tuned for the end of this episode of the podcast presented by Simple Math Matrix. It's your boy, Mr. I'm joined by my blood brother, Noah, and we are signing out for right now. Peace. Thank you, bro.
He's a pod right there. Good pod.
Sir, that was an amazing pod.
Pod.
That was an amazing pod, bro. Yeah. And we are back, or rather, I'm back. This is your boy, Mr. aka Super357, best known as Prince Godbody. And I'm back to end this episode of the podcast of Simple Math Matrix, presented by Simple Math Matrix. I don't know why I'm fucking up everything lately. I guess I should just come up with new intros or something, or outros, or who knows. Look at me clearing my throat, pulling a Noah. Hold on. Alright, had to check the technique real quick. I'm back. Let's go. I'm ready. And I'm really ready because finally it's seeming like Joe Biden is going to do something for his constituents. If you aren't aware, Joe Biden is announcing that he'll be clearing $10,000 worth of debt for federal lenders, or loners rather, federal loners lenders. Why am I fucking up? Let me start this whole clip over. I am fucking up this entire night, rather.
Take a deep breath, babe.
Thank you, babe. Thank you. Joe Biden is supposedly going to excuse up to $10,000 worth of student loan debt from federal lenders. And this is something that, honestly, Biden as a president, where his constituents and the people that voted for him are really out of his, like, they don't believe in him. Nobody believes in, it's sad as it is to say, very little of the truly progressive left part of the political spectrum truly believes in Joe Biden. So for him to do things like this, which is essentially giving people $10,000, but in like convoluted credit way, it is a good idea, but it doesn't really do much when housing is still extremely expensive. Food is extremely expensive. I'm not saying that excusing student loan debt does not help. It definitely does, especially when it does come to your credit and how that impacts your credit score, especially when it's federal loans. And if you hadn't been paying them back, maybe they had been levying your taxes against you, things like that. So yes, it's going to help there. But in the grand scheme of things, this is really a way to start a cycle to put money back into the economy. Because realistically, a lot of people of my generation went to college, did not finish college, or finished college and didn't get a job in the arena where they went to school for. So they're just paying back money that they essentially wasted. And for a lot of people, $10,000 is only going to be a portion of their debt. But when you take away that debt, that increases that credit score, that those type of things, that has you in a more prime like position to buy things. This is all really a thing to get people to buy things by making them think that they're getting away with not having to pay for school. Because the concept of free education or lower cost education is something that's like on the premise of the left agenda so heavy that if you want to be a leftist representative, you have to endorse those type of things. So I guess I wish I had, you know what I'm saying? Do you know what I'm saying over there? Do you agree? You can speak up.
I think it's more helpful to people than the picture you're painting at this time.
It is, because I think mentally, if anything, it's more helpful. Just to know that you don't owe somebody $10,000 is a great fucking feeling when you did owe them $10,000. So yeah, I do agree with you on that. And financially, I just don't feel like clearing only $10,000 worth of debt for people that only make under $125,000. That's, I mean, what can we do but put Band-Aids on things? Because that's what I'm thinking is all we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on the situation. But, I mean, the student loan bubble is going to crash, and it's probably going to crash very soon. I feel like this is really just a sign of that more than anything, that soon enough student loans won't be a thing. I think the American government, if they've had enough time to tell that this is not going to be a fruitful endeavor for them. And that's just kind of my outlook on the situation. It's a good and a bad thing. You just can't take it all as a monolith, as with anything. It's just kind of what I say. And speaking of doing good, or doing good to do bad, or maybe doing bad to do good, currently Colombia is going, or thinking about, or seriously considering, or, man, Colombia's finna be the wild, wild Southwest. Because the Colombian government is on pace to decriminalize cocaine in Colombia, which is, if you're smart and you see and you read and you know any type of history, it's a direct combatant to the drug war they've tried to fight in their country. Because in their country, in Colombia, it's actually a drug war because the drug cartels and the drug kingpins control the country. In America, it's a drug war because it's a way to establish and popularize infrastructure, meaning your police departments, your federal departments, things like that. It's not really about people not doing drugs. Or selling drugs or anything like that. It's literally about bolstering your infrastructure. But over there with them doing something like this, being the home of Pablo Escobar and all these great cartels and such, I feel like this is going to be one of those things that, yeah, it seems cool now, but this is definitely going to be one of the things that conservatives and xenophobes are going to be able to almost verifiably use to try and keep people out of the country. Just for the simple fact that if cocaine, which is something that's criminalized here, widely popular, even widely popular among the people who are criminalize it, it's something that's widely popular but illegal here. So the money from it comes off the illegality, but all of that illegality and the money that would come from would also come with illegal immigrants. So I don't know if this is going to definitely help Colombia as far as the bloodshed and just not trying to track down these guys, not having their forces actually pursuing cartels. Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. Going to police academy does not train you to fucking take on a cartel. When somebody like that, it's just not possible. I just don't understand. We've seen what's going on in Southern America or South America for years now, for decades, and it's a different ball game because I stated before, those cartels run those places, so they're even more highly trained than the actual infrastructure law enforcement themselves. This whole thing down in Colombia is about saving lives more than it is. It's about saving lives of innocence than it is about users or people using or anything like that. This is about just stepping out of the cartel's way. This is something we're going to look back in history and be like, yo, what the fuck happened here? Is what I truly feel like. But I digress, you know. Motherfuckers have to, you know, some things change, some things stay the same. Some people go back and forth with their mind, you know, they can't change. They can't really, you know, decide what they're going to do. And honestly, that's been the case with Kevin Durant and the Knicks. It's come out that, not the Knicks, the Nets. The Nets and Kevin Durant will be staying, they'll be continuing their business partnership, as the Nets put it, throughout the 21-22 season. Oh, no, it's 22 now. Golly. 22-23 season. And this is just like what happened with Kobe, where back in like 07-08-ish, he was going back with the Lakers, back and forth with the Lakers organization. Get me the fuck out of here. Thought he was going to be in Dallas for a while. Ended up not happening. He comes back, finished his career there. But the big difference with this one is we saw, and if the tabloids are true or not, they probably are. We will say they are, just for the sake of this argument. We saw Kevin Durant make a bunch of demands that the Nets ownership was not willing to concede to. And Joe Tsai, from the very beginning, pretty much said that I'm going to believe in my coaches and my staff before my players. I want to build a team. And he reiterated that. And I feel like, honestly, the big person in this story is not KD, it's Joe Tsai and how he really is running his team. And in the era of divas, and in the era of sports divas, and the era of the NBA where the entire market has collapsed for players after this Rudy Gobert trade, and KD holding out. As an owner, you have to put your foot down and say, all right, at a certain point, y'all can't just use us for a jersey swap a year. Meaning, these guys are heavily invested, and especially a star player like KD, and they probably have had these conversations before you're bought on. We're going to heavily invest in you, not only with our coaching, our team, and our drafting, but financially. These next X amount of years are riding on you. Your contract might be 4, but we need you for 2. All right, for 2. And it's those type of things that you do at the same time. I hate to be, you know, on the side of the owner, because I'm a fuck the owners, fuck the league. If you don't want to play, don't play type fan when it comes to players. But at a certain point, when it comes to somebody like KD, who is essentially these last... And he's one of the best scorers of all time, but he's also one of the biggest divas of all time, with little to show for it by himself. KD, other than an MVP, has little to show for his career. I mean, yeah, he has scoring titles and all that shit, but championships, rings, Steph, Clay, you know what I'm saying? We got to say it like that, because that's just what it really comes down to. KD wasn't driving that bus, and I think now he's finally feeling that in fucking Brooklyn, because they don't need a bus driver. They just need amazing players. And that's what he is an amazing player. He's a GOAT, he's an all-time great, but he's not a bus driver. House of Dragons premiered this week. Fucking classic Game of Thrones feel. I'm not going to really spoil much. I'll wait for Nate to get back, talk about it. That's all I really got for y'all this week. All I can say is make sure to catch us on all social media platforms. It's all Simple Math Matrix, SimpleMathMatrix on all platforms, except for Twitter, which is Simple Math MTRX. That's at SimpleMathMTRX. Make sure to like and subscribe to this video if you're watching on YouTube. And that's all I got for y'all. And I'ma say, producing by myself this week. Peace.